Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Formula Podcast with me, your friendly neighborhood host, Trevor Carlson. On the Formula, I share with you my experiences, experiments, and conversations around designing a fulfilling life in whatever form that means for you. This is part 2 of my conversation with my mentor, college advisor, and good friend, Laurie Watje. She's one of my favorite humans, and I'm still trying to figure out how much I have to pay her to bribe her to say that I'm one of her favorite students that she's mentored. Maybe I should start like an Indiegogo or something like that to try to raise even more funds. Either way, she knows it. She just doesn't want to admit it to all the other students yet. Anyways, let's hear a quick word from our sponsors before jumping in part 2. The first sponsor for this episode is Lady Boss. Lady Boss is a women's fitness and health company that really tries to provide as many resources as possible to help women live the healthiest lives possible. So if you want to check out some of their free resources, you can head on over to theformulapodcast.com's sponsored products page and click the link there to head to their website and see what types of different free guides and workout plans, stuff like that they have available for you. Now, our second sponsor for this episode is Liquid Web. If you've listened to any of our episodes about launching your own e-commerce company or an online business, they have these like pre-made solutions for you that you can just go on over and sign up for. Now, if you check the show notes, they provided Formula Podcast listeners with a little bit of a coupon code, so you can just check out the show notes. I believe it's Formula 33. You get 33% off all Liquid Web products. So, big shout out to them for hooking us up. Now, let's get on with the show.
So when you first start working with a student and they come to you with an idea or something that they want to work on, what's usually like the first couple steps that you walk them through to help them kind of either figure out if it's a good idea or kind of get them thinking about like how they're going to do it?
I really like using the one book, All in Startup, by Diane Kander, which is just kind of that easy read, where the guy goes off to the poker tournament,
Yeah.
It really helps them understand the importance of customer discovery. A lot of times we hand them that book and say, read it and come back and talk to us after you're done reading it.
Yeah.
And then they have a pretty good idea like, oh yeah, but it's really what's out there.
Yeah.
What kind of research have you done? Who else is doing something similar? And really, is there a need? How are you differentiating yourself from what's out there already? Have you talked to the customer?
Yeah.
I don't care if you think it's a good idea. Do other people think it's a good idea? Are they willing to pay you for that? So really going back to the, customer discovery, value proposition, that type of thing. What problem are you solving? Yeah. I really want them to realize, do you even want to take it to that point yet? Yeah. Is there even a need? So.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about the customer thing, it's almost like, do you have, it's like developing almost like a level of empathy for the person or the group of people that you're building the product or service for? Like how well do you understand?
Right, who this is.
Yeah, and I know I've had a million ideas, and I've heard a lot of ideas where it's always like yeah, that seems kind of cool, but why would anybody take any extra time?
Right, or why would someone pay for that?
Yeah. And I think that's kind of important since it's a business.
Right. And again, I don't hammer them that hard until I know they're going to really start investing some money in it, and then I'm probably going to get a little harsher with them.
And I think one thing that changed, at least as far in the education, it seemed to me was, when I first started, it was, it seemed to be like getting pre-sales or getting people to commit to pay for something early on wasn't something I was aware of.
No, it really was, that's been, thanks to Steve Blank and, others like him. When I first started here, one of the first things, and actually one of our introductory workshops was how to write a business plan. That was kind of the standard process, is you write a full business plan. And then, so people are spending all this time perfecting this business plan before they even started to launch, and then people would get kind of this paralysis of, I wanted to perfect the business plan before I would execute. And now it's just, get that MVP out there, see if there's even a need. And really, when I started, 11 years ago, the ability to get a business online and a website up so easy, that wasn't really in existence at that time, So it's a different model now, and And because there are so many people online, you really have to prove that there's a need first before you waste your time on it. So there has been an evolution, you know, in the business, and I'm sure it's going to continue to evolve into different ways. But
well, me personally, and then I feel like other people, once they learned that like you could go test this stuff out really quickly, it's made my life a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about your students and you know some of the things that have changed in the education system for entrepreneurs. Should everyone be an entrepreneur?
You already know that answer, right?
I know. I'm just asking. I'm asking you.
No. You better make sure you really want to do this. You know, it's funny because, you know, it's kind of sexy to be an entrepreneur, right? It's kind of the cool thing, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It involves a lot of stress. You better be sure that this is truly what you want to do for the rest of your life, but know when to say no.
Yeah.
And know when to quit, right? So it's not for everyone. You know, if you don't like risk, you know, if you don't like uncertainty, then this is not your path. This is not what you should be doing at all. You could be a supporting role for the entrepreneur. You could be part of the team if you kind of like the thought of being in a startup, because they need that, you know. But yeah, it's not easy being an entrepreneur.
So on the opposite end, you said, I want to ask a question about risk.
Yeah.
If you can't handle enough of it, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. I feel like I might be farther on the opposite side of the spectrum where maybe I take too much risk.
Yeah.
Is it possible to just be too risk prone, I guess?
If you're taking it to the point where you're doing something illegal, you've taken it too far. If you take it to the point that you're putting a lot of potential, maybe financial risk, if you're not able to handle that financial risk, then maybe too far. You're always going to have to take a risk, right? Yeah. And so we try to assist you in making a calculated risk so that you understand what the potential outcomes are.
This happens every time I feel like I get involved in something, and maybe this is very normal. You have this picture perfect vision in your head of how everything is going to go. And then I think about, you know, how difficult sometimes it can be. I mean, compared to, I was talking with Steve Shriver in another interview, and he does like rock climbing, and he's gone on expeditions and stuff. And he's like, you know, business mistakes compared to a mistake when you're on like the face of a rock.
life risk. Yeah.
It's like it's not the same, and it's not the same kind of stress, but it's like sometimes it's not all like sunshine and rainbows.
No, it isn't.
I mean, it's just like anything else. There's challenges and stuff that's difficult.
We're going to have stress. If we didn't have stress, we wouldn't be alive, right? Stress is part of life, you know.
Yeah.
It's how do you handle stress? And you also have to put it into perspective and say, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
And if I can handle that, then I'm okay.
I've heard that many times. They're like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
But when you haven't really had a lot of bad stuff happen, and then you're going through it, it's really hard to put it into perspective.
It is.
Until you go through it, and then you're like, well, it's not as bad as that thing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think
hard.
The important thing is if you're going to do it, I think it's important to have a team of support. You need to have that person you can go to and just walk in and shut the door and just break down and say, oh my God. You know what I mean? You need to have that safe zone that you can go to. And if it happens to be us, fine. It doesn't have to be us. But you need to have someone that you can go to that can walk this walk with you.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
All right, Laurie, we've talked about a lot of stuff, kind of rehashed some memories, maybe talking about me crying a little too much in your office. At least now I know I'm not the only one.
No, you're not.
And
you're not.
You know, we covered.
I won't name names.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I've already thrown myself under the bus.
Yeah.
So, we talked about getting started, how you ended up here, how you're kind of the mom and the shepherd for all the young students coming to you and I that want to be business owners.
Life coach.
Life coach.
Life coach.
Yeah, you're their life coach. And risk, the different traits of successful entrepreneurs, and I know I owe you a big thank you personally because you've I don't know. I don't know where I would have been as a, I mean, I think you were the one that recommended the 4-hour work week for me, and now I'm kind of doing that thing.
Yeah.
And
I know, I was thinking of that when we were talking.
Yeah. And, I think about the guidance you gave me, and I don't know, I'm very appreciative, and I'm sure all the other students would say the same that came through. So thank you.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
I feel as grateful on my end to have played that small part.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't a small part. But last question before I start crying again.
Yeah, I know.
So if you think back to the first day, one of your students walked into your office.
Yeah.
And you think about where they are now. What's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to be yourself and be true to yourself. And however that ends up playing out with your business or whatever, don't worry about pleasing other people. Be true to yourself. That's it.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, to part 2 with Laurie Watje. She's awesome and has been there for me throughout my 20s when I really needed someone to have my back and advise me on how to keep my shit together. So in all earnestness, thank you, Laurie. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if you hadn't been there to listen to me when I needed it, to get on my back when I needed someone to push me, and to tell me to slow down when I pushed too hard. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. And if you got 5 minutes, hit us up with a review on iTunes or whatever app you use to listen to the show. Take care, everyone, and I'm looking forward to you stopping by next time.